little technical difficulty. You would believe I do this for a living, but I want you guys to go ahead and go to my page, share it to your page, and tag people in it, and we'll get started. Yes, Will. I'm making sure that it's live on my page as well. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, we are the polite. We'll let everybody introduce themselves. And this is Relationship University. We're going to talk about after the vows. Is my sound off way up?
It's an echo.
Okay, let me see something here. Okay. Okay, Dre, turn down your speakers a little bit. Okay, can you hear us? Can you still hear us? Okay, all right. So we won't have that feedback. So yeah, we're getting ready. We used to have music and all that kind of stuff going on, but we had to jump over. So we're the polite, and we're instructors with Relationships University, and we are partnered with Andre and Val Neal, and Kendrick and Natasha Moore. So go ahead and introduce yourself, starting with the Neal.
We are. Yeah, well, I was trying to share it to everybody.
Okay.
We are the Neals, and I'm the male. I'm Andre, and this is the female Valerie, and we together are the Neals.
Okay. All right, and the Moore.
Yes, my name is Kendrick, and this is my wife, Natasha, and we are the Moors.
Okay, so everybody kind of shouted. I don't know why. Wait.
Kendrick was not shy.
Yeah.
So for us, he keeps going to other screens.
Yeah, I'm trying to share it on my page.
We're just gonna be natural because this is who we are. So we do have we have good information for y'all. I promise. And we want to start. The aim of Relationship University, and y'all please chime in with your thoughts and your viewpoints about what Relationship University is. Relationship University is the brainchild of Andre Neal, and the focus was on helping couples to really empower their marriages and grow both in their love for each other and their spiritual growth. And so what we do as couples and teachers and counselors is we give you some tools and tips and strategies for growing strong marriages. And the Neil's area, explain your area of expertise.
So our area is my needs, your needs. And we basically help the couples understand like creative uh, workthroughs, if you will, to tools to deal with one another and minister each other needs. Because we kind of define the needs, like everybody has different needs, everybody's growing at different places, everybody's changing. That's that word that we don't like to hear, but everybody's always changing. So we talk about how in the span of your relationship, no matter where you are, newlyweds or older, you're going to deal with some changes. So we basically deal with how to identify those and how to come up with creative strategies to keep that camaraderie among the couples and see success in their marriage.
Okay, and the Moors, go ahead and explain what you do.
Well, we are really focused on the, financial as well as just the, being able to get on the same page as far as when it comes to money, when it comes to, other areas as well, but our focus mainly was finances.
Okay, and again, we're the Polite, Arlene and Terry. We are licensed Christian counselors. Our primary focus is relationships, but for relationships university, our spirit is communication, helping you to develop healthy communication channels in all of your relationships, really. So we focus on conflict resolution, emotional IQ, and understanding what nonverbal communication means. So we're going to jump right into it. Tonight we're going to talk about after the vow, because so many people get into conflict that first year. We a lot of people that we love the big wedding, we want the honeymoon, and we want the big reception, and all our friends and family there. We want to feel like king and queen for a day. But what goes on after? How do we begin the process of becoming a couple that's going to have a successful marriage? So I want to first come down to the Moors. Okay, what was your biggest conflict after the vows? Your first year.
Well, the things that I love the most about Kendrick happen to be the things that I disliked the first year. I mean, when we were dating, okay, we have goals, and he wants to save, and he had money saved when he was in college, and that was very intriguing to me. I'm like, okay. But when we got married, then he was going to put me on the budget. And that started to change things. So I think that's when we started to realize that, okay, there's this spender and a saver in this marriage. And I was this saver. I was the spender. So like, okay, now, I work, you work. And we started to really have some issues. And
I mean, I was in college when we got married, so it was, for that first year was a challenge as far as the different dynamic. I wasn't like working a 9 to 5 and different things, but the times I did work, I then began to focus on things, and so it was a challenge. It was a different dynamic. And,
Okay. So what was the conflict that took place that made you guys realize that, hey, we got to work on this particular thing in our marriage?
Well, we had to make it work. I know after that first year, our first year again, we actually made a commitment again after the first year. Because that first year was so rough. We was like, you want to keep going with this, or what we gonna do? And that was
what was rough about it? What was rough about it?
I mean, it's just
my hair down.
but it was just all kind of dynamics in the relationship.
And
So
so
it was well, as far as financing, it was like she had her spending habits that were really spending. I don't think she knew what saving was. I think I had to. It was like spending all the time. So I mean, she had her things, she had fun. She said, "I'll work, so then I'm going to use money." So that was kind of a difficult situation for me to come in and have her change that dynamic.
Okay, and Natasha, how did you feel when you had to change that?
Well, it was uncomfortable because, I'm so used to when I get my paycheck to just go to the store and shop. And also to not have someone to be accountable to. It's like now it wasn't my money, it wasn't my checkbook, it wasn't my savings, it was our savings.
Are y'all recording this?
Yeah.
So, when I had to For example, I used to go and get my hair done every week. And then, he's like, okay, you're not going to be doing that. And, I had the best hairdresser in town there, Hey, it was always putting my hair, and that's what he liked about me. He's like, oh, your hair is always done, and I'm like, okay, you like when my hair is done, but you don't want to spit on it. What's up with that?
He wanted you on the budget, huh?
Oh, yeah. Budget. But,
Okay, so when this conflict arose, how was your communication? How did you handle it? How did you voice it? Whether
It wasn't good at all. I mean, because it was just a lot of resistance to it. And it's understandable because she was doing it all the time. And it was something that she was just doing. So, a lot of times, and that's a lesson that we learn is that even when it's something that we don't like or want to hear, we got to be open to listen. Because if we don't, we can just shut stuff down. I think that's what's happened to a lot of couples is that we get so much in trying to defend our case that we're not even willing to listen to see what's what. It's more about I want to win or I want it my way. And that goes with anything in this case or whatever case. I see that's where the issue is solved a lot of times. She was willing to kind of see what we came to a place of compromise. Because I did want to do a haircut, but it was like it didn't need to be done every week like that. And then when the perm came, ooh, my goodness. Perm and style and this
so after you went through this, did it help you to develop kind of a toolkit to address other areas and conflict as they arose?
Yeah, we learned the hard now. Like, seeing our needs. I mean, eventually we got it, but we realized that we learned from how we handle things, and we became a lot more cordial in discussions. You know what I mean? It didn't become so.
What would be your advice for couples who are dealing with that first year and combining incomes or bank accounts and that kind of thing? What would you tell them?
well, first, you have to have a mate that just comes to you. It's the way you say things, you're just not going to change overnight. So we have to compromise, you know, and don't talk to me like, you are my dad, something like that. It's like, okay, from being to my dad and then, go to another dad, that's not happening, for a lot of women. So we want to talk about it. We want to at least, um, I think the best way is to start writing letters about it and see, what would you like to change, how much you would like to save, and still have fun and still be able to go on dates. Because, we used to go on dates and it wasn't a problem. You used to pay for it without a problem. Then we got married, the date, okay, we can go on date. It costs too much, but it was the same amount we were spending. So what's the difference? Oh, you hear that? He didn't have me then, so he was trying to get me.
No, but that's a very good question, though, Ralph, right? Is that, I think the advice that I would give people is that understanding that when you're going into that relationship, that you're actually entering it's two people entering, building another entity, so to speak.
Right.
So you very
You gotta become one.
Yeah, that's right. So you gotta be willing to know that there's gonna be some friction because you're building something together. So when you go in, don't go in so this is my way and that's your way. What's our way? We gotta start thinking more us instead of me and you. And that was a big thing too, because when we were doing stuff, she would make statements about this is mine, that's yours, and that mentality was always, no, this is ours, this is us now. This is our money, this is our account. So it's starting to use those type of terms and get more in that mindset. And I think that helps.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That's great insight. Okay, Andre and Valerie. James,
Yes,
Val,
sir.
Ray and Val. Val and Ray. Okay.
Hold on one minute. People are saying they can't, we're sharing it, but they're saying they can't see it. Do we have a private setting on? They
No.
can't,
No, they should be able to see it, if you're sharing it.
I'm sharing a few and they're like, we can't see anything. It's okay, just go ahead with it. Share. Just have to test people.
Okay, I will, here's what I'll do. Well, I'm not sure, why they can't see it, but,
It's all right. It's okay.
let me share, I'm gonna send it to you guys a messenger. And then, you should be able to take that and share it to your page. So there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so now, okay, the Neils, what was your biggest,
Are you
area of
recording this?
conflict the first year you got married?
Huh?
Well, for us, it was just around getting used to, it goes back to like my needs, his needs, I guess. I think about one of the biggest arguments, first argument we had is just around, him not, like walking me out the door and my car. There was an expectation that I had, and also like walking me out. Oh, okay. Can you hear, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. And so let me just back up. So part of that comes from, when I grew up, my father was present, so he was in the home and, whether it be my mom or myself, when I was still living at home, anytime one of us would leave and if he's still home, he would make sure like our car was cranked up, we had gas, if it's cold, he puts the heater on, if it's hot, he puts the air on. And just make sure, back then, their house wasn't in like a drive, what do you call it, garage, it was a carport, so it was like on the outside, so make sure the windows are not fogged, so things like that. So I had an expectation. I just thought that's what men do because that's the example that I had. So fast forward to our first year, and even when we dated, because we didn't live together before dating, so I didn't know what that was going to look like. So I remember one of the first arguments was early on when I was leaving for work, and he was still home, and he just kind of just said bye, and I'm thinking, and it was like that daylight savings time where it was dark out, and I'm thinking, you gonna take me outside, like, you don't crank the car, like the car's not cranked up. And so I didn't say anything, but there was an expectation that, like, isn't that what men do? Like, okay, carry the stuff to the car and just, make sure I'm good. Nope. And it bothered me, and so I actually went back in the house and kind of made a statement to it. And then he kind of was just like, no, I'm okay, like you good. And back then, I wasn't, we hadn't really argued necessarily, so I was like, okay. So, and I was one, I won't say it was the best, I didn't handle communication properly, like I should have just talked through it then. But I just kept it to myself in that way. But what I did, my actions spoke louder than anything. So I slammed the door when I went out, and like he said, a picture fell off the wall, but I went there to see it. So I was upset, and it bothered me all the way to,
Quiet little Val, slam the door.
People don't like, y'all have to.
Hey, you slam doors and not put yourself on.
Great. So, but that's because I didn't properly channel my emotions. I should have talked through it. And so, you live to learn, right? And so that became a thing because now I'm starting to pay attention. I'm like, well, couple other moments, but then we had to eventually got to a point where we had to talk about it because it was starting to really bother me. Because now I'm having this expectation of what I feel he should be doing as the husband. He's not really understanding that's what I'm expecting of him. Well, it's starting to frustrate us a little bit. Now I'm responding in a way like, gosh, like, now I'm getting, snappy or just, making comments and just, doing things instead of just addressing it head on. And I should have. And so when we did, I understood he had to share his background, his story. So then I'm like, oh, okay. So that wasn't something that, the absence of a father or whatever, like you want to talk to Hugo. So understanding the compromise with Val, what is it that you want? And what is it that, you are looking for? I didn't know that. I didn't know that was important to you. And I will say he did start doing that, but it did create friction because it took a while. And then I was just, first year marriage is like, I'm mad, but I don't want to turn into like a crazy argument. But I'm doing everything like slamming stuff and like being mad and crying or whatever. But it's affecting me. And so I figured I wouldn't handle it properly. But that was, so we had to learn to talk through. That's where the beginning phase of where we understood how important communication is in a marriage. Like, you think you come into it, you feel you've known it, but a lot of us, especially in our culture, we don't, especially as women, like sometimes, men take the lead, you don't really challenge them, say that certain, because my mom's Dominican, so from the island, there's a certain part of that submission in a different way to a man that, you almost don't challenge certain things. So that's what I just need to do, or not do, I should say. But it started frustrating things a little bit in the beginning. You want to add to that? Well, how did you feel just laying in the bed when I left?
I actually
And the
felt,
picture slammed.
I felt like, because, well,
Like Brady was sleeping.
yeah, I'm the type of person, my feathers don't get ruffled a lot. I'm kind of like, and I'll tell you that, I'm kind of like even killed, like, okay, she angry, that's it. I just turned over, and not being a person that didn't care, but that's just how I handle things. She said, and now sometimes, it's hard to get a response out of me. You got to really take that place. So I'm like, it ain't, but it wasn't to the point. I guess, like I said, the question after the vows. We still, everything was cool. That was just like one combustion at the beginning, but everything else, we were fine. We were like in ministry together. We've always worked in ministry together, and I had a singing group at the time, so she was going to be here, there, everywhere, So, but our first year, I still was pretty good. We just had to get some new pictures.
So, Andre, what was it? And I feel so funny calling you Andre. I'm telling you, I'm doing it for the show.
It's
But
fine.
Dre.
But I prefer Dre.
But what was the hardest adjustment for you in getting getting married that first year? What was the adjustment you felt you made?
Not thinking single.
Mm.
Because a lot of things, like even with her saying that, it's like at that point, like I said, I didn't get like ruffled because I'm like, okay, that's you deal with that. This is how it is. There was no compliment. Oh, you all right? It was like, okay, you good. Why you tripping? The car right outside. That's kind of what it was. So I would say the challenge was me not thinking single and thinking I have a wife now. And those are some things and some areas I got to grow in. I can't just, look at it that, in that particular way. And it had a lot to do with my history, but that's a whole nother show. We ain't got time to talk about that tonight. We'll keep it on the first year, but that's kind of where it stemmed from. So I had to change my thinking and like, you got a wife now. You're not single anymore. And if that's what she was expecting within reasons, that's what I was there to do.
The other thing too, though, but to add to that, while he's saying that, the other piece still was around communication, because I think about, now for us, it kind of builds, you know what I mean? Because now what we experienced probably, or most people probably could experience in their first few years, we experienced probably down in our, like 10th year.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look back to some of where that came from, it was where, this, he may not ruffle his feathers or whatever, but it's like, to me, I didn't feel like he was listening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking for things. And so again, it goes back to the things that I was asking for, like, hey, and it's like, well, I don't see the big deal, and I don't see so then I would just shut down and be like, okay, I'm not gonna turn to now. Like, don't, because then there's a part of me that has stubbornness. I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to walk me out. Like, I'm okay, like I'll make it, whatever. And I would just move on and then just kind of push it aside, and then eventually, when we hit that hard place in our marriage, when we look back, he was like, I remember you used to always tell me I'm not listening. Now I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But it had to come to like this terrible year that we experienced. And it's like, well, now you're here, but I know part of that was we never worked through how to properly talk through, because it wasn't until after we experienced that segment of life that we understood the important, like even more importantly, how to communicate effectively.
And I didn't know what she was going. I'm listening to you. What are you talking about? You ain't listening to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And see, me, like I said, my system, everything's like, shut down. So now I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. I don't know how you want me to say this. I'm trying to process it. You still saying that I'm not listening. And I'm like, it's so funny because through that time, I think Beyonce had made this song about listening. And I used to get it, I'm like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? Yeah, for Dream Girl. Listen, something.
Yeah.
I don't know this thing to listen. I don't get it. I said, I need some kind of a handbook or something because I'm hearing. But then later on, I found out what the listening actually meant. I understood that. Now,
Okay, so now this is a very common, what you guys expressed is a very common occurrence for couples in that first year. Why do you think that so many people they kind of keep a scorecard or they keep track of offenses? Why do you think that is?
that's to us or anybody.
Yeah, that's well to y'all, but anybody can answer. Because so many people struggle with that. They go in and they are offended and they engage in psychic thinking. Meaning, I should know this. Okay, I shouldn't have to tell you this.
Right.
Then it becomes an area of conflict. Why do you think that so many people, so many couples experience that?
I think part of it is again, we think by compromising in those areas is taking something away from us. Instead of looking at your union as being that unit that you all work through, we look at it like it's going to take away from us, our being the authenticity, who we are. And I think it's, if I can say mature people, I can only speak from my side of it. I was stubborn in the fact because I felt like, oh, now you gonna tell me what to do. Oh, it's like that kind of, it's like, it's from a place of pride. That's what it is like. Now, wait a minute, and then, we don't say that like that. You woman, I'm thinking, you're not going to be telling me what to do now. Let's, wait a minute, and all that stuff. But we just, it's like, I don't want you to feel like you did the best of me, and she felt the same way. So it's that sense, I know I kind of circle around, but I'll say it's that sense of independence and not really coming to understand we are one body. We are one unit now. It's not, I'm not arguing to be the right one or have the last say, especially when you're a person who feels your opinion is very wise. I said it like that.
And you right all the
Yeah,
time.
that's it.
You trying to say that.
I think it's the expectation of what we think relationship or marriage is to be. So everybody went in with this expectation that, it's supposed to be roses. You're gonna come through the door, ripping my clothes off, and we're gonna jump in the bed. Like they show all the stuff on the TV and everything gonna be work. So I always say the disappointment is the expectation that we have. And it's amazing that some of the most competitive people is spouses.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes that they always competing with each other. And if they don't watch it, it becomes a thing almost like it can become dangerous. And that's what begins to break up relationships. Because it's amazing that when you was courting, it was, I'm doing everything for you.
Right.
And then now when you get together, what can you do for me? So the expectation shifts. And what happens is that,
Well, why does that have to change though?
it doesn't have to change, but that's where it changes because of our mentality, and especially in the life of a woman mostly. A woman sees a woman sees a relationship of dating or my boyfriend and my husband is totally different. As soon as they say that you're my husband, their expectations change. No matter how long you've been dating.
Explain.
Okay. Explain. Okay, is that, say for instance, if you was dating, some people that you were living together before they got married,
Which wasn't the case.
It wasn't with us, but I'm just saying, what happens is that for a man, you'll think, we basically already married. We live like we married and everything. This guy go on Thursday night, he always go out with his friends. You go out with his friends, you may not like it, but you don't really say much. You say, oh, well, you know, we go with your friends, or we go over every holiday to my mom's. Those girls will go. But as soon as you get married, she's gonna think, no, you married now. You can't just be going out with your friends. Oh, you can't be doing this over here and going. We gonna go on vacation over here. We're not going with your parents like you do all the time.
That's true.
And what
As
happens?
it should be.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's the expectation. It's that expectation to start bringing those things into a marriage, and then if you can't speak those out, that's what brings that.
It's coming, Dr. Bowen. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Even though you're not married, even though you're not living with someone, okay?
Yeah.
You were just, just dating. Yes, you have time with your boys, but when you married, you made that commitment to that person, and now it's our time. Your single time is not going to be just like my hair. I couldn't do my hair every week. Every week, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the
No,
way.
but I'm saying that those expectations, but that's not truly, well, clearly explained or understood.
Right.
And where the expectations from. That's what brings that friction when the guy was expecting, well, we married anyway. We live together, go to bed, and everything. They thinking themselves, but then when you put that ring, something happened to a woman's mind. When that ring hit that thing up, it's like, am I telling you, ladies?
That's true. Yeah. It's becoming one. And I had the same problem with that, because but there's some things you don't talk about while you're dating. So when you're living together, things change. You're seeing the person more, you're seeing the habits and all that stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. And for growing up, we have to be clean. We have to have a place clean. So when I saw Terry throwing this stuff around, I was like, wait a minute, can you pick up this stuff, please? And it was becoming annoying to him, but it was disrespectful to me. I took that as disrespect because I'm expecting that even if I told you to do it one time, then you should get the drift. Okay, I expect you to pick up your stuff. But I felt I had to tell him again. It got me irritated, got him upset, and it just, till we had to have a conversation. My understanding of communication and my husband helped us to align. And yeah, even though he's not perfect with, okay, he can't leave his shirt on the couch or anything, but now I don't have all that anxiety because we discuss, I know who he is, we're comfortable, you have to understand who the person is. He is not me, I'm not him. And I think that's the first thing that everyone in marriage, we need to understand when we approach marriage. It's two different people, two different way of living. And that's the expectation we should have.
I think for us, our biggest area of conflict was the communication, because for one thing, we got married. I was in my 40s, okay, and Arlene was 34. So we had been through previous marriages and relationships. So we had all of that history of being in a relationship that we brought in. Then she's Jamaican and I'm American. So we had that cultural barrier as well. And then our social upbringing. Yeah. And we put that on top of it. We really had to work on communication and understanding who each other was when in our first year. The main things we had conflict about was paper towels. And believe it or not, the paper towels was an issue with us.
And the
dishwashing detergent. Okay. And I grew up and for me, using something like a paper towel, the only person in my family that was kind of stingy with paper towels was my grandma. Okay. She would make you take you're gonna get the sheet, and then you had to tear the sheet in half and leave the other half there for somebody else.
Well, she invented the half sheet.
Yeah, so she invented the half sheets back in the 70s. So, but at home, I just grabbed 2 or 3 paper towels. So when, I was used to that. Okay. And so when Arlene and I got married, I was used to just grabbing it. And she was like, why are you using all those paper towels?
No, like you're too
just
extra.
get one.
You're too extra.
And she was like, you're just being wasteful. You're wasting that. That's too much money to be spending, and you don't need 3 of them. Just get one. And I'm like, wait a minute. I work. I can buy paper towels. So leave me alone about the paper towels, right? So then I like and I admit this because I'm still like that today. If I wash the dishes, I'm gonna put a lot of soap in that sink. Okay,
oh my God.
I'm gonna go. I ain't gonna go drip. It ain't gonna be 3 drops with me. It's gonna be squirt, squirt, and squirt. Okay, I'm gonna get it good and slutty and throw some bleach in there. And I'm gonna let that grease get cut. Arlene doesn't wash dishes that way. So
we were the right amount.
We were actually
measured in the spirit.
She washing dishes is different for me. But I had to learn it because when we first got married and I watched her wash dishes, I was like, in my mind, them dishes ain't clean. So I would go behind her, sneak behind her, and wash the dishes.
Oh, wow.
And so she didn't even notice y'all till the other day. and then I had to think about it. I was like, wait a minute. My wife she's a very clean person. I mean, Arlene is particularly clean. So I had to relax and say, okay, this must work because she does it. Okay. And even now, I've actually gotten better because what I'll do is like, it's just the 2 of us. So we don't have a lot of dishes to wash. So instead of making this whole big sink full of soap, suds, and all that, I'll take like a bowl now and I'll make a little bowl of soapy, hot soapy water and wash the few dishes and go from there. Okay. So I graduated from the half the bottle in one setting till probably about 3 ounces right now.
But I'm still praying for him about the paper towel because even though I'm not saying anything, I'm looking at him sideways like, you're still taking that is too much. That's so wasteful. It's crazy though, how we look at things, how I was brought up and how I viewed life,
I was gonna say that was the other thing too, just when you talk about that, like belief systems or like your past experiences,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had, we've let certain things go, but we've had disagreements about like, I don't know, like, just a debate about the way certain things go. I mean, we've had couples that will argue about how they fold towels or you don't, because one time I think it was washing laundry, so he's like, you don't measure something. I'm kind of like that. Now, when it comes to laundry, I'm kind of like that because I need to see suds. And even though it takes 1 cup, if I don't see suds in the washing, I don't feel the clothes are washing. Where he'll do it, I'm like, did you put in? It looked like straight water. So just think, but so there's things that you're taught too, the way you do things, and it can become an issue. The way
yes.
Because you both want to be right, or you just feel like, no, my family's way is the right way, because I know with him, it's certain things he won't eat. Like he said, I was just taught we don't eat anything with white gravy. I'm like, what does that mean? White gravy? Like, so I'm like, so you don't, like if the gravy is light, light and it's not brown.
The microphone is muted. Go ahead.
Oh, so then I would, think, okay, well, I'm going to fix that. I just brought the browner, just make sure whatever I'm making, color it up. So now it's like paprika. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's too much colorants because I didn't grow up with all that kind of coloring. So it's just things, that could potentially, because I used to have a thing about he would, you don't want to eat my food. Like, what's this about? But it was kind of like understanding just where he come from and where I'm like, well, I would have to start asking, talk to me about that. Like, well, where did you get that from? Like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, you gonna get sick behind it, or it's just the visual is not appealing? Like, what are you saying?
That's just our family. Like, we don't. It's funny because my mama said this. We don't. We don't eat chicken legs with socks on them. That's what. That's what. I know, look at Kendrick like what? My mom has this thing, like when you get a chicken leg, the little part at the bottom, our family we cut that off, and our family call them socks. So we don't eat chicken legs with socks on. So, so when Val was frying chicken, I said, "Oh no, I don't eat no chicken with no socks
I
on."
didn't have socks.
Like, what are you talking about?
Socks on my chicken. Don't
That's when you first did
Socks.
I like that part.
That's a good one. The socks for the chicken. I never
I like
heard
the
that.
chicken socks.
They do ones. I don't even
first, it's like the noodle.
You talk about that.
I'm like, goodness, I don't even fry.
Got a little bristle on the end.
Yeah, at the end. That you could just peel off.
Hey, that's the best part.
No,
Can we close our camera for one moment, please?
Look, now the debate is, I'm like, I don't remember frying no chicken because I don't fry chicken. He's like, I'm like, that was me, not like an ex-girlfriend. I'm like,
Well, that's a whole nother show because
You know what my pet peeve was with Natasha, really, and I can truly say now everything is good for the last probably 2 years. But man, and we've been married for 25 years. But let me tell you, we used to have was the toothpaste. She would not put the cap on the toothpaste.
oh,
And
yeah,
the thing is, I had my own. I got so mad on it until you got
That's different.
I have my toothpaste.
Usually it's the man.
But this is what happens because all of a sudden she don't do it, and then the toothpaste start gumming up, and then she can't pull it out. And then she want to come over to mine. I said, "That's why I'm telling you to close the toothpaste." And then she never. And I was like, "See that? I mean, I used to get so upset." I said, "Because that's the reason I'm telling you. That's why they got a cap." She never capped it, and then she'll be over there, and then once hers gum up, then this is what I would do. I would get it, take it off, make
clean
it
it all
good,
up for him.
and then next thing you know, I'm gonna get you over there. I'm like, come on, man. But now she does it. She, because I'm saying he wasted toothpaste. But then I'm like, she can't use it. I say, well, it can't come out. It can't come out because you ain't closed the toothpaste.
Wow.
I mean,
But you learn how to live with it and you adapted to it.
Right.
And that's why we're talking about, guys, if you just tuned in, we're talking about after the vows, what things, conflicts you experience in that first year of marriage, because that's when that blending takes place. You begin the process of blending. It could take years.
You start seeing everything.
And as y'all can hear, sometimes it can be well into your life together before you let that go. You know, you may be secretly over there, kind of like looking at them, but you learn how to deal with stuff. You begin to understand that everything is not a hill you need to die on. Everything is not a fight or invitation to war.
Right.
And you understand that you decide to love that person more than you dislike the things that they do that may annoy you.
Right.
And you look at it that way. Because I tell my wife all the time, I know me, and I know it's things about me that's irritating, and I understand that, and I'm okay with that, and I will accept responsibility for those things that I made shortfall. And I'll tell y'all how I knew Arlene's issue would be my messiness. When we were dating, we were in college as old people there, and she stayed near the campus. So she had given me a key, and a lot of times when I wanted to go over there and just kind of study or hang out by myself, I'd go to her apartment, and she had a candy dish on the table, on the coffee table. And one day I got in there, and I'm telling y'all, I'm messing now. So I got in there, I ate some candy, and instead of me throwing it in the trash, I stuffed it between the cushions.
Ooh, Jesus!
And she came home and found it, and boy,
he was gone. I saw, like, oh my God.
She called me, and I mean, it was rough. I mean, she talked rough. I mean, all the whole island showed
It
up
wasn't
out
that
of
bad.
her.
It wasn't
Yes,
that bad.
did.
It wasn't
Yes,
that
did.
bad.
And
I'm
she
like,
goes,
you have all them can rappers in my couch.
you're dirty rich. I mean,
I was just thinking, like, oh my God, that is so terrible.
and
It's
so
crazy.
so it really made an impression on me. So needless to say, I didn't repeat that mistake until after I married her. Okay.
Make sure I forget.
And so I learned very quickly what she didn't like and did like, and I tried to accommodate her. And because of that, I think we had less conflict than a lot of people do experience in that first year. Ours mainly was a communication barrier and things from our upbringing, our different life experiences and upbringing.
But I had to learn why we didn't continue with all that, picking on each other or whatever. I had to learn that, okay, do I love this man, or I'm gonna allow these little things to destroy what because I liked so many things about him when I met him. So that came to my mind. Okay, especially this is your second time around, and you have a good man. Are you gonna allow this little thing to distract you or to kill what your feelings for him? Because it's a feeling killer. It can kill your feeling towards the person that you're trying to build a relationship with, or marriage or whatever. It can really put a damp on it. So you gotta be careful about that. Like, is it that important? Is it that necessary to pick on your loved one about, or to bring it up all the time? I had to stop saying pick this up, because I realized it was affecting me more than him.
Yeah.
So look at what it's doing to you personally. What is it? Do you feel the same about your loved one for with that issue that you keep bringing up, or
Right.
it's not that important.
So at what point do we draw the line? Because I get this a lot from couples. Like, at what point is not you being petty? That's something that's really irritating to you. You know what I'm saying? Do you just accept him like, oh, that's just him. He punched me in the head. It's just him. I know that's extreme, but I'm just like, at what point that you not lose yourself in the person? Because, like, for example, I know some
we are
don't like their women to get their hair cut. They don't want their women to get their hair cut. I don't care. Oh my God, as a stylist, it aggravate me because they have split ends up to here. Please get a haircut. But I'm just saying, and they're like, no, my husband don't want me to get it. So, like, at what point a person being authentically themselves? We know we please our mate, but what is too much?
Too much is anything that makes you unhappy that you're doing for someone else that doesn't fulfill you.
True.
You can't cancel who you are because of who you're with.
That's right.
You have to be true to yourself. They married you, all of you.
Right.
Okay. They need to adjust to living with all of you, accepting all of you, and appreciating all of you. Now, that doesn't mean that that they need to be abusive in that, but you have to. This is what communication is about. It's about planning. How are we going to be together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. And so it becomes, why do you not like my hair this way?
Right.
Okay. And then I articulate that to you, and you say, well, I love my hair short, and I understand it may not be your preference, but it's my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need you to be okay with how I want to appear. I feel empowered. It makes me look good. I think I look good. I feel sexy. I feel desirable when I get my hair cut short. Okay? Anyone that loves you will want you to feel and be your best.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay? It's not about controlling you. Okay? Because when it becomes about control, there's a problem. There's a relationship dynamic problem right there. Why do you need to control me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said something, Dr. Polite, that was very very powerful, that people have to grab on, and that's that word, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that It doesn't mean that you agree,
Right.
Mhm.
but it's okay. And as long as
Yeah.
you say it's okay, it's okay. When you say it's not okay, it's not okay. Another thing, another part that you said that I was thinking about that came to my mind is that the scripture tells us that we have to think on these things.
Mhm.
Have a good report. What
Mhm.
happens is that if I'm focusing and see the human mind make us
Yeah.
think that, say for instance, I'm looking at my wife and oh, she's perfect in all these ways. It's just this one or two things. And then we'll focus on that, thinking that if we keep saying something like this, she'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
way the
Mhm.
human mind is made is that what we focus on expands.
That's right.
So then
Right.
if I focus on the 10% that I don't like about my wife, it becomes the 90% in my feelings.
Yep.
Mhm.
Then when I leave for that 10%, then I turn around for the 90 and it's gone too because I left it.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
90 didn't follow me, but I'm focusing on what I don't like, what I don't like. And then that starts consuming me.
Mhm.
So the more I focus on the things I do like about my wife and then look at the things that I don't like and say, I don't really like this, but it's okay. That's gonna bring the pressure down from me, and then I can more settle. And I think that's a solution.
And then
that
you
I
can
did.
get a treat.
No, no, but that's truly a solution for me. That's a solution for me. I
He
know
finds out the less he complains, the more love he gets.
But the thing is, I'm serious. It's the okay, and you being okay with it is not an agreement. See, we think when we say it's okay, that means that I like it. I still may not like that you cut your hair short.
Yeah.
But you know what? You chose to do that, and it's okay. And
But I would say, I would say this too. It's much more rewarding to support and empower your spouse
That's right.
than to try to change them.
Mhm.
And what do I mean like that? By that, the most powerful moments in my life is when my wife expresses her appreciation and support for me. Okay, and it makes it when your spouse validates you, you feel powerful. You know,
Mhm.
I can be in a good mood. My wife can come and tell me certain things, and I feel like I'm the man.
Mhm.
Okay, it can change my whole demeanor and my whole outlook about a situation. And we have to learn how to give that as opposed to that, like you say, that carrying you down over the 10%. You know, we don't want to lose the 90% because we're picking the scab of the 10%.
Mhm.
And so we have to learn. I don't know why people do that. A lot of people, that's the first thing that they do when they get together. They begin this process of tearing the other person down or dissecting them to try to turn them into the optimum spouse. And we should not be trying to change people. We should be trying to learn who they are in their completeness and be okay with accepting that. So we're going to close out. We're going to ask the Neils to give us their thoughts, their closing thoughts. Look at Jay.
Well, let me go first. He's gonna, because he's gonna have a lot to say. Y'all know.
I'm not gonna have a lot to say. I've been letting her talk because that's what we talk about. You just don't let me talk. So I'm like,
No, I was just gonna go back to it's all about also just dealing in love. And when you really truly come into this relationship, understand number one, it's for mature believers because it's a give and take. Because if it's come into a shared space, shared way of thinking, everything is not just your way. You're not gonna always be right. Even though we, want to be, but just understanding that it's a partnership at this point. Now you're with someone else. And so and to me, it's about unconditional, like really is some of the things that annoy you. We've annoyed each other with some of these types of habits, whether it's leaving clothes across the, ottoman or just leaving your shoes.
paper plates.
Paper plates. What? Oh, the pictures.
But yeah, she had this thing that oh my God. I just stopped talking about it. Vala eat. Now we have toothpicks, but she'll break off her plate like a clamp it and like, yeah.
Okay, so listen, before everybody cut me now.
And I'm like, oh.
Now listen, my my grandmother, they used to pick out broomsticks to pick their teeth. In the business card. So cause I hate things in my teeth. So if I don't have something right there, I will find something to. But to no end, it bothers him.
Cause I'm like, she too classy. I think she's beautiful to be sitting there with a paper
I don't
plate.
do it all in public.
No,
Whatever you paper. You see stuff like airplanes all over the place in a car. You use paper and he'll leave it right there. And I'm like, oh my
Well,
God.
I do throw it away. I do throw mine away. But
Well, hey,
At least you throw it away.
that ain't taking place no more. So, but listen, I grew up with the broom straw too. We didn't have toothpicks. You went to the broom and you got the straw off the top, and you broke a piece and you did that.
We
So
bought these. That's why we have these.
But if they're not near me, listen, if there's a sticky note piece of paper, I make it sharp and just, go for it.
So I started saying,
Yeah,
you want me to
stand
get you
things in
a
this
toothpick?
So right, now let's talk about how we work through this. So what do you do to help me?
Well, as I talked about it and it wasn't going anywhere, like in the words of Bugs Bunny, if you can't beat them, doggone it, join them. So I said, can I get you a toothpick? So I go and get a toothpick for her and toothpick for me.
And I say,
And that's all. Yeah.
I
So
say thank you. So there are
That's
things
good.
there
That's
are things
good.
that you work through and help. And then there's just going to be things that that at a point you don't want to lose identity. Now, funny because we talked about certain styles because he likes a lot of heel, like me wearing high heels.
yeah, that's another one.
And then there is a point I'm like, man, like there's sometimes I'm okay with that, but sometimes I just want the comfort. I don't want
Yeah.
I'm church, But what I understood too, but here's where love comes into play because at the end of the day, there are times that if when I go out with you. What?
No, I'm being silly. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. No.
No, you made me lose my
You said
train
when
of
love come into play, love says put on the pumps.
Well, that's what that's where I was going. I said, well, when I consider that part for the sake of him, and I want him to, to remain attractive to me and pay attention to me, so I'll wear pumps because that's what he likes. Because he does the same for me. Because I don't like bald. Kendra, you look nice. He doesn't have the head shape for a bald head, and he wore it, and I was like, that's not you. Like. But if that's what you want to do, but he's like, well, no, I mean, if you don't like that, then that's cool. I'm not going to do it. So there are times it's not to lose yourself, but it's not, if that's just his thing and his swag or whatever, then fine. If that's going to ruin you and change who you feel you are, then I'm not, we'll talk through that, but not to a point of changing identity. But there are times it's just a compromise or working through, but it's case by case, but also understanding, is it worth divorce? Is it worth the hassle? Is it worth being angry and mad? Just because he doesn't do dishes or she didn't clean up this certain way. Because remember, you're used to this because probably the way you grew up or the way they grew up. So there's sometimes we do have expectations that we put on the other person and they may not be at all aware of it. So it all comes down to continuing to talk to and communicate. And if it upsets me to the point where I'm like I always say, home should be your serene place. I don't believe in anybody's home. He shouldn't have to come home and it's all crazy and I'm yelling and being ridiculous. Like, same with me. Like, if I come home, we want it to be peaceful. Like, you got a lot of chaos in the world. Home don't need to be a chaotic place, seriously. So let's talk through it. And is it worth the arguing and the uprooting of all the peace and somebody have to sleep in another bed? And when it comes down to, a lot of times, it's not even about that incident anyway. It's coming from, you don't heard something, or maybe better yet, on Facebook, you done saw somebody, how they clean up, so now you want your house to look this way. You was fine until somebody brag on their spouse, or their spouse looked a certain way, now you want your spouse to dress a certain way. So be happy. So it comes sometimes, you got to check your motive too, and I believe, where did those things come from? When all of a sudden, she was fine with her hair this way, now I don't like naturals, and I want your hair long and cascade. Well, what you been watching? Now I always ask those, but like, what have you paid attention to? Seriously. Yeah, because seriously, you wonder, like, they wanted it, but why is it an issue now? Like, if things are changing, different from 30 to 50, I get it, age difference, but like, where is this coming from? And so sometimes
you want to be relaxed, be yourself.
Yeah, because sometimes that's worth exploring. But we bring stuff in the house, you got to be careful, and so that's what I would say.
Okay, and Natasha, what do y'all want to leave us with?
Well, I want to say this. If you all have enjoyed these conversations, you will get more conversations of this nature at our relationships conference. And how you can register for a relationship conference, you can go right over to the website at www.relationshipsuniversity.com and click on the link that says events. And what you go ahead and register right now. You can register right now and it will secure your spot. We're doing small seats or small, what's the word I'm looking for? Small crowd. We're having a small crowd. So
Small gathering.
Gathering, thank you. So we already have some seats gone, so you don't want to miss this. I tell you, we have some highlights on our Instagram page that you can also see that we have all. And these are our facilitators, the Polites, the Moores, and the Neils. So we will be the ones, and we're very candid, very laid back. It's a non-threatening environment. You can let loose. We have fun, all those things. But our goal is to really help you secure and use the tools to keep your marriage at optimum level. That's what we want to see, because that's God's will for our marriage. We should be experiencing bliss and not blah. But we want to change that dynamic. We want to change that dynamic that when you all come, it's in a retreat experience. And this year, we got some goodies, y'all. Those that came out, we got some goodies. We got some great things. I'm not going to say it because Val is giving me the fist to be quiet. We're going to talk about that too. What to do when your wife doesn't stop talking.
Stop talking.
Back to you, Dr. Polite.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
I would want to say about, after the vows, the biggest thing is patience. Rome was not built in a day. As they say, when you're building something, it takes work.
Yes.
So we got to be very patient with each other. We got to be very forgiving. A lot of forgiving is going to be in them first few years. A lot of forgiving. We got to be open to know that, we're different people. Like, Val was saying, we're different. And so it's going to take knowing you're building something. Building something takes work, and work is hard. Work is not easy. It's not just going to happen. It's going to happen because we make it happen.
That's right.
And then the more that we can stand through the tough times, the more you're going to say later on that, man, you know what? I did something, because it's easy to leave. But it's not easy to build.
That's right.
Right. That's good.
What I can say as well, ladies, just remember, we are the helpmate. They need a lot of help. So telling you, we are there for them. We are the support. We need to be patient and kind and loving to them. They need help. Let's help them. Let's help them.
And
Be as peace. Be as peace. Okay, I'll let you go that for us.
The retreat, let me tell you, I went to the retreat, it was off the chain. I love to go away because I realize when I'm away from home and the distraction, I can focus on my hobby. And it's just such a nice flow when you are away from everything and you're focusing on your relationship. It's worth it. Sometimes you'll be amazed of the thoughts or different ideas, or something click when you are away from home and you're in this place with other couples. The things you hear, the things you take away and add to your life, it's amazing. And I recommend retreat for couples any day. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys. Sign up quick.
All right. So again, thanks to the Neils and the Moores, and we put the web address down here, the website, relationshipsuniversity.com and /book-online if you're interested in attending the workshop. And you can also contact us through the website. Anything else, Pastor Dre?
I think I want to do an offer. I want to do an offer.
Okay.
We didn't talk about this, but I want to offer. I'm going to say this. If you register tonight, only tonight, if you register tonight, we're going to give you a special percentage off your registration fee. I'm not going to tell you what it is. What you're going to do, drop your name in the comments, and I'm going to send you a link to get a big discount, but it's only going to be valid tonight. If you don't do it tonight, No
Oh,
can do,
say
no
the
happen.
date.
You ain't gonna get it. So
Okay,
go ahead,
tonight
even those that catch the replay of this, if you go ahead and register tonight, drop your name in the comments. I'm gonna send you a coupon code, and you'll get a significant percentage off, and you can enjoy the festivities. Then you can holler at everybody, say, hey, I got a discount. So take advantage of this opportunity. That's all I want to say. Now back
Okay,
to you, Dr. Dwight.
and now it's this broadcast taking place on, well, I don't want to say because we're gonna replay this and everything, but message us and get in contact with us about the special discount.
Yes.
Okay, just know that. So again, I want to thank our couples for our instructor couples, our master class couples. I love that term, master class.
That's good.
You
I
know,
like that. That'll work.
because in our own way, we have a combined total of what, almost 80 years of marriage on the screen.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so, no, yeah, 25 and 22. You guys are 22?
22, 25.
Okay, and we're at 17. So yeah, so you know, we got some juice on here, and we've done some things. And it's a blessing that God allows us to share our wisdom, knowledge, and insight for people who may be looking for answers. And we saw that in the last workshop that we did, the last retreat, and it was very powerful.
Yes, it was.
So again, we invite y'all out, and thanks again to our panel, and we will see y'all next time.
Take care,
All
y'all.
right, guys. Y'all have a good night, everybody.
Good
Good night.
Take care.
It's your wife tonight. Don't forget.
We didn't hear what you said. Oh,
You said kiss your wife tonight.
okay.